Okay, well, welcome to your next 71 days. I want you to give y'all yourselves a round of applause for your commitment and your dedication. And I really, if you looked at the Facebook post, that was today, it said, whatever, wherever you are, your emotion has to be one that is charged for focus and commitment and dedication and starting with the end in mind. So one of the things we're going to do right away, right now, is you have 71 days left. So if you're pumped about your results right now, amazing. If you're discouraged about your results right now, who cares? You still have 71 days to really make it and to make sure that you keep your goal at the forefront of your direction and your behavior. Okay? So here's what we're going to do right now. You need to be thinking about where you are with your goal. What percentage of the way are you to meeting that goal? So we're going to be thinking about, you don't have to calculate anything. I just want you to get an idea, okay? I've made you calculate enough in the last few weeks. And I want you to be thinking about day 29 to day 100. What is your short-term goal for day 50? 50% of the way there, okay? And you need to be writing that in your journal right now. So you have to ink it. We say think it, ink it, review it. Think it, ink it, review it. Okay? You have to be thinking about what your goal is. You need to write it down, ink with ink, ink it, and then review it. You do some self-assessment and analyzing and what are your behaviors from here? Your goal is an intention, but your goal has to be followed by behavior, which will then be developed into a habit, and then you have to practice the habit, and then it starts to embody who you are, and pretty soon you're new. You're not doing your old ways anymore, okay? So that's the one thing I wanted you to do tonight. Here's another announcement, is raise your hand if you're going to be in Little Rock for Thanksgiving time, around Thanksgiving weekend in Little Rock. Okay, awesome. There is a short race called the Turkey Trot on Thanksgiving morning at 8 a.m. And in a few weeks, we're going to have a running clinic, okay? And there's a 3-mile race, a 4-mile race, and a 6.5-mile race. This is a free race for you. Most races that you register for are $50, $80, $100 registration fees. So this is a free race for you. In exchange, you're welcome to donate food to the food pantry or the shelter. You're welcome to donate money to help to fund the race, or you don't have to do any of that, okay? But what I think would be amazing is if we all got together as a group. My family will be there. We are going to have both kids in the strollers at 8 a.m. We have to do the 3-mile race, but there's some trail in the 4-mile. So and you don't have to run it. You can walk it.
That's what I was wondering.
Yes, you can walk that. And it's fun. It's going to be a great, fun time and a really great thing to do on Thanksgiving when it's normally focused around food. You're going to be out moving your bodies first thing in the morning.
Where?
Okay? We'll get you some more information. It's near Allsop Park. Okay, you could go to gorunning.com on Thanksgiving Day, gorunning.com to register for that. It's a free registration. I'll put a link for it on the Facebook page, okay? So get your brains wrapped around that, and that's going to encourage you to set a short-term goal of something to move toward and moving your body toward. Those are good things to do, okay? So we have a treat for you tonight. I am so excited to introduce Andi Smith to you. And she's going to start with showing you her mighty matcha smoothie. So she's going to do a smoothie demonstration. Matcha tea, and I'll let her explain this, but you want me to explain it? Just really? Yeah. But anyway, she is a recreational therapist and a wellness coach here in Little Rock. And she has a great web-based presence, an amazing blog. That's going to be posted on the Facebook page as well. She has her smoothie recipes. She has multiple smoothie recipes are in there. So she's going to make a smoothie tonight for you to try, just a little sample of it. So that's going to be a treat. And then she's going to teach you how to manage stress. Like, who has stress in their life? We all do. And this is a perfect time to hear about how to manage your stresses. So if we can give a big round of applause and welcome Miss Andi.
Yay, thanks. So as she said, I'm a recreational therapist here, and it can be kind of stressful. I work at a children and teens hospital. And I wanted to look really presentable for y'all, but I just did not have time. I have paint on my jacket from one of our sessions today. But yeah, so Tracy asked me to come out and talk about stress, but we chose this recipe for you, and actually Tracy chose this from my website, and I think it's a really good one for this group for stress because matcha tea, it's the whole leaf. It's a green tea, it's from Japan, but you get more from it than your traditional just bag of green tea. So that green tea, like the traditional green tea, you put it in the water, the hot water, and it infuses the water and you sip it. But with matcha, you get the whole leaf and you can make smoothies with it. You can just have it all by itself in some warm water. It's just really smooth type of green tea. So that's why it's mighty. No, but so it gets this green color from chlorophyll, which is how plants get their energy. They get it from the sun, and then we get our energy. But then it also has, let me look at my cheat sheet. I had like theanine in it, which helps you focus mentally. Now this does have caffeine in it. I don't know if any of you guys are sensitive to caffeine, but it doesn't react the same way that caffeine and coffee does. So you get this energy and this focus, but without the jitters. And we're not going to be using a whole lot of it, but so yeah, any questions about matcha?
How do you spell that? Because I bought some M-A's, I think it's more maca or something.
There is maca, and that's different. That's from,
Powder?
yeah,
Not at
so
home.
they're both
Okay.
powders.
Okay.
And
I can't see that part. Can you spell that word?
it's M-A-T-C-H. And so maca is from a plant in Peru. It's a root. And then this is different continent. Yeah.
So
So.
M-A-T-C-H.
M-A-T-C-H-A.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, let me put on my special gloves for you guys. Okay, I did wash my hands, but just in case, wasn't sure if any of y'all would appreciate me wearing gloves while I do this.
Where locally can you buy that tea?
I get it at Whole Foods. Kroger also has a good selection. I'm not sure who asked that question. Okay, there. But Whole Foods does have a selection. Now, I get just the plain straight up matcha. You have to look at the ingredients because some teas are matcha plus whatever. So it just depends on what you want to use it for. If you just want it as a tea by itself or if you want to mix it in smoothies. I think they even make soups with it. I mean, there's a lot you can do with it because it has this nice, smooth, creamy texture. So let's crack this baby open. Okay. So I don't know have you guys had a cooking demonstration yet or anything? Okay. So I will make my own almond milk, but I wanted to bring a brand that I like. Which actually, this has no carrageenan in it. So when you're switching from dairy and you're going to coconut milk or almond milk or any other kind of milk, a lot of times they'll put carrageenan in it to help with the emulsifier and make it smooth and creamy. But it's actually an inflammatory agent. So carrageenan is from the Irish moss root, and they just take it out of that root, or Irish moss. It's not a root. It's moss from a rock. So when it's whole, in its whole state, it's fine because it's got those other protective properties. But when you take something out, then sometimes it has harmful effects. And they've actually increased inflammation in rats with carrageenan to test pharmaceuticals for anti-inflammatories.
Would you spell that?
Carrageenan, it's C-A-R-A-G-E-E-N, I believe.
Okay, so we check to make sure that is not in our.
Right, yeah. and I will try to do my best without making a big mess. All right. Okay. So we're gonna double this recipe. Okay. In fact, why don't I just use the markers on the side? Okay. So I'm putting in the liquid first because sometimes, now this isn't a very fibrous smoothie recipe, but sometimes when you're using a bunch of plants and other things like that in your smoothies, it'll help blend better if you put the liquid in first. Just a little culinary trick. But we're gonna see what this is like to double this recipe so that everyone can get a sample. Do you guys have this recipe on you or no? Okay. You do not. Okay, so the original recipe I had coconut kefir, but it was a specific type of coconut kefir that was made for its probiotics. Now, if you're going to the store and you're buying kefir, I'd be very wary of the labels. So always check your labels, especially if you're on a diet where you're trying to cut out sugars, which I'm sure all of you guys are, correct? So I would go for just your plain old Greek yogurt. Let's stir this around. And this brand is Bulgarian yogurt. It has no artificial whatever, anything's in it. I just like the texture, but go with whatever brand you like, but just make sure you check the labels. You want to go with plain because if you start getting into the flavors, the sugar, yeah. I mean, those flavors taste good, but, you know, it's kind of fun making a mess in front of you guys. So, all right. So usually I just do 2 tablespoons, but we got all you guys in here.
So where do you get that?
I actually prefer to browse the yogurts at Whole Foods because sometimes they don't have what I'm looking for at Kroger. And by that I mean not specifically the brand, but what's on the labels. You know, you have to be careful. You guys are on a weight loss program, right? So you're very conscious about what you're putting into your body. So have you guys gone over like reading labels and things? Yep. Yeah.
It's full fat yogurt.
It's a full fat. Yeah, I don't get any low fat or no fat because if you're doing that, then what is typically happening with the ingredients? Sugar. Yeah. They always find a way to put that in there. Okay. Vanilla extracts. Oh. Hold on. I think I misplaced an ingredient. Okay, I usually like to sweeten it with vanilla extracts, but I don't have that. It adds like a really nice flavor though. In fact, I don't always, this is the only smoothie I think I've put vanilla extract in. I just like to make things taste like a treat and be like, oh, I can't believe this is so healthy. But it tastes like, you know, a sweet treat. Okay, so let's open this baby up so you guys can see just how green it is. Okay, 2 teaspoons. Stevia, do you guys like stevia?
I do.
Okay, I don't ever, so I don't know if, okay, I wasn't sure what was on the camera. I don't know if you guys can see how bright and green that is, but I mean, it might sound kind of hokey, but it's true. I mean, plants get their green chlorophyll from the sun's energy. In turn, we eat that and we get energy. Makes sense, right? But, all right. And I call this Mighty Matcha because all the benefits in it. Okay.
So if you weren't doubling the recipe, how much was the coconut milk?
2 servings, and it's 2 cups
So
of
2
coconut.
cups?
I think that Tracy will post the recipe for you guys. Yeah, it's on my website, which is andysmithwellness.com, along with a few other recipes. But let's see. Okay. A little thing about bananas. This recipe originally calls for 1, but I'm going to put 2 in because we're doubling it. But if you are really trying to watch your sugar, other things that you can use instead are avocado. Have you guys heard that one? But then sometimes that creates a different flavor that not everyone's okay with. So another little trick is zucchini. You can peel it and cut off that little hard nubbin, and it'll create the same smoothie like texture. So yeah, I know, it's interesting. All right. Okay, so this has, it has some sugars. Tropical fruits are the highest in sugar. So you can stay away from that kind of stuff. But I like this because it has potassium. And I do run. And if I wasn't working Thanksgiving morning, I would totally meet you guys at the turkey trot. But I like it because it has the potassium. And sometimes when you are working out a lot, you do need a little bit of sugar. I mean, glucose is what feeds our brains and all that kind of stuff. So hemp seeds. So how much have you guys talked about protein? Some? Okay. So protein, well, I don't know if I should talk about it now or it's part of my talk. But protein actually is needed for a complete diet and a complete meal. But you don't have to get it from animals all the time. These little seeds, just 3 tablespoons of these is 16 grams of protein, which for most people, that's what you need a day, depending on your activity level. And a lot of people just aren't getting enough protein, especially in the morning and especially women. So I think if you are going the smoothie route for a quick breakfast, just make sure that you're adding some proteins to it. All right.
That was what? Hemp?
This is hemp seeds. And so not only is it good in protein, but it's good in healthy fats. They have omega-6 fats and stuff in it. So, all right. And then almond butter. Yeah, I saw you eating your almond butter. Yeah, and I was like, I brought some. If you have a food processor, you can make your own almond butter. I suggest soaking the seeds or the nuts first, and then you can rinse them and then blend them. But Whole Foods has just fresh made almond butter. So you don't have to worry about all the other stuff that they generally put in it to extend the shelf life. So, I guess some food's okay if it lives longer than you, but some food shouldn't, live longer. All right, so we'll put 2 tablespoons of this. So this smoothie is really high fat, high protein. Can you tell I came up with it after a morning run? So I'm not lying. So, all right. And this is why I have the gloves on, because I foresaw this with the honey. All right, and we just have 2 more ingredients. So do you guys have green smoothies? Is that part of your daily routine? You guys do?
The dynamic greens, but mine comes out pink because it's got strawberries and kiwi.
Strawberries and kiwi. Yeah, a lot of people are scared of greens, right? They can have like a really strong flavor, especially kale. So like with kale, if you're just getting into it, I would mix that with maybe a banana or a mango, but don't go overboard on like the sugar. You can make sure you add some protein to it as well. It's honey. Can they not have honey?
Well, yeah, let's just, because there's 2 bananas in there.
Oh, good. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, I have cinnamon to help balance out the blood sugar level. Also, I'm addicted to cinnamon for some reason. Okay. All right. Thanks for bringing that up because I did have that question. Because I wasn't sure what all the dietary restrictions were.
Yeah, we're just really doing low sugar,
Okay.
low ketogenic type plan.
Yeah. Okay. And just a teaspoon of cinnamon. So cinnamon is an awesome spice. It helps balance the blood sugar. It's great if you have diabetes or are pre-diabetic. But the one thing that everyone else that I just learned about cinnamon is it can also be in the food categories as an aphrodisiac. I did not know, which is not how I think about cinnamon. But, okay. All right. So I don't have any ice tonight, but I like my smoothies cold. Like just a cold, sweet smoothie treat. Okay. Are you guys ready? Let's just start small. Yeah? All right. I think somebody might be getting you all cups. But hopefully this is enough for everyone. So, yeah. Because she's right. There are so many. I didn't want to put a bunch of bananas. I only wanted to double the recipe. I didn't want to triple it. All right. Yeah, let's pour those out. Okay. Oh, oops.
You can keep going, but I'm going to
Oh, okay.
these portions out for you. And
Okay. All right. So let's talk about stress. So there's various definitions of stress, but one of these definitions is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. Has anyone, raise your hand if you've ever experienced demanding circumstances. Yay, woo.
Bosses fit into that category.
Bosses, yes. Yeah. Whether your boss, I guess, is asking a lot of you or you are the boss, having a lot of responsibility. But stress can be emotional or physical. I mean, we use the word stress for us. We use the word stress for mechanical things, all this type of stuff. So it can have physical and emotional effects on us, which can be good and bad, right? It's like sometimes we need a little bit of stress to keep on going, but too much chronic stress is not so great. So when we have long-term ongoing stress, it can cause a hormone cortisol to rise in our body. And cortisol, it's not always bad. We have it there for a reason. It can actually help decrease inflammation. But what we know is long-term cortisol output increases inflammation around the midsection. So in turn, this leads to risk of heart disease, hormonal imbalances, diabetes, less ability to decrease the weight, which can be super frustrating, increased inflammation, and then you also have increased irritability and poor cognitive functioning, which, these days we can't really afford to have poor cognitive functioning, right? Like there's a lot asked of us, and there's a lot we would actually like to do. So ongoing stress can cause increased levels of cortisol, but so can our diet. What we eat can influence our blood sugar levels, like we just talked about some of these foods, which is the reason why, she asked me to leave the honey out, but then that cinnamon can help with our blood sugar levels. When we're eating things like chips and candy, essentially eating just straight up glucose, sugar. And there's not a lot to be broken down. So I wanted to talk about this for the food aspect for you guys. So when there's not a lot of stuff to be broken down, the sugar can actually rush into your bloodstream, causing hormones to kick in, such as insulin. And the body can freak out and be like, we're going to die of a sugar overdose, or hypoglycemia, really, or hyperglycemia. And insulin acts as a shuttle to quickly get that sugar into your cells. And then once the sugar is safely in our cells, we experience a sudden like drop. We call that the crash, right? And we all see this in kids, and we experience it ourselves. I mean, I work, I feel like I live where I work. Who else doesn't? But I work in a children and teens hospital. And it's busy, it's fast-paced, but these techs working with these kids all the time, they know as a recreational therapist, sometimes we might have candy. Now, I am known as the girl who gives out apples and oranges. But they come in and they're asking for candy all the time because they're tired. Or today my coworker is like, hey, Andy, do you have a quarter? Because he knows I'm not going to give it to him because he wants to go buy some candy out of the vending machine. But, because we want that spike, right? But then we also get that crash. So then the adrenaline will kick in, which is a hormone that helps us deal with short-term acute stress. So when we get a high, then feel suddenly hyper-focused, but we're also hyper-reactive to stimuli in our environment. So these are all symptoms of fluctuating blood sugar levels, which is what you don't want. And when we get ongoing elevated levels of, ongoing levels and our adrenaline drops, we get ongoing elevated levels of cortisol. So the cortisol kind of will start maintaining and just keep putting out, and the adrenaline's like, okay, I'm out. So then we're back to that cycle. So you can imagine if your blood sugar is going like this, it's no wonder so is our mood, right? So that's more of the physical effects, but then there's also other physical effects like wrinkles, hair loss, adult acne, mood imbalances, puffy or dry skin. And then we've already talked about having a hard time losing weight. So some of the main causes of stress. What are some of the main causes of stress I'm sure you know? Worrying about what? Money. That is the number one thing. That finances is the number one thing that causes stress. So if this is a little tip, it's not anything in my notes, but if you can figure out how to sit down and actually, approach your finances in a way that makes you feel comfortable and secure, that'll help you so much. But then the next after that is we got money, and why do we need money? To live and to support us, our family, everything, right? So we have work responsibilities, we have family responsibilities, all this stuff. So how can we deal with that? So little tips to decrease stress. When people ask me what is the number one thing that I would tell them, because they all want this easy fix, what is that? My number one tip of advice is drink water. I know it sounds so simple, but it helps flush out toxins. It helps increase your mood, your energy. Just try it for a day and see what happens. If you weigh 100 pounds, then your water intake for the day, a good guideline would be 50 ounces. So you can take your weight, divide it in half, and that's your ounces for the day. And nutrition is another way you can help decrease stress. Our internal environment is just as important as our external environment, right? Nutrition can help balance your blood sugar levels through protein, healthy fats, and fiber. So those mixed together, protein and healthy fats, help the sugars enter your body, your blood, slower and more consistent, so you don't get these up and downs, and you feel more stable and energized and focused. That's the key, focused. So with nutrition, you want to make sure you don't skip breakfast. You can have snacks, and the best way to do this is to plan ahead. Meal prep, meal plan. And pick easy snacks. Some of my favorites are just apples with almond butter or hummus with red peppers. Exercise is another great thing to help decrease stress. You want to do 3 to 4 times a week. And it doesn't have to be, like if your body's not used to going out and running that 6.5 miles you guys are going to do at the turkey trot, just do something gentle. Like start with yoga, meditation, walking. You don't have to, like if you're already mentally stressed out, you don't have to go out there and run your best mile and stress your body out too, right? So it's all about taking care and decreasing stress. And sleep. Sleep is really, really important. So sleep is when our body is able to repair itself and just do all that great stuff like you've been putting into it throughout the day. It can actually use all the nutrients, repair itself, all that kind of stuff. Along with sleep, I don't know if y'all have talked about this, but try not to eat 2 to 3 hours before bed, because if you eat right before you go to sleep, your body's going to be too focused on digesting whatever it is you've eaten and not what sleep is actually for, which is, take care of all the enzymes and proteins and stuff. So, and I mentioned breathing and meditation. For a lot of people, sitting down and have a meditation practice is not their thing, and that's fine. But everyone can breathe. A lot of the times we just breathe right here, right, in our ribs. But we have to be breathing here. Like if you think about when you sleep, you're breathing right here, right? So if everybody just takes a big breath in and then lets it out. And if you do that 3 times, just 3 big breaths, whenever you're feeling stressed out, you'll feel so much better. You can even hold it at the top. Like let's just breathe in for 4 and hold it, and then release. And you just, I don't know if you feel better, but I do. I mean, it's amazing, just that simple little thing. Yeah.
What's the difference between breathing out your nose and your mouth? Which is better?
Okay, it depends on what it is you're wanting to do. And I'm not like an expert on like the breathing techniques or whatever, but some of it gets into that pranayama and all that stuff and the cycles. And also, when you're just breathing in and out your nose, it just kind of warms the inside of your body also. Dr. Andrew Weil, Weil, has a really good video on a breathing technique that I suggest you guys look up. Where he does like the breathe in one nostril and then breathe out the other. So. But I'm not going to have you all do that tonight because I don't think we have time. But I highly suggest looking that up. And then the other thing is creating just a daily routine. And I suggest a morning routine. From my personal experience, so about 1.5 years ago, I got super stressed out. I was working 2 jobs. I was in the health coach program, and I was in another culinary nutrition program. And it was like 2 jobs, 2 schools, and my boyfriend wants some of my time. Like, I just don't have time for this, And so I really had to adjust, like, just what I was doing. And it started with focusing on me. I had to say no to some things and yes to other things that made me happy. And created a morning routine. Like, it's so simple, but I was like, you know what? Everyone's always talking about this, so I'm going to try it out. And it works. Like, no TV, no email, no phone. Like first thing in the morning, like if y'all really want to know, like I get up, my water's by my alarm, so it's already there. I have this glass of water. I do either yoga or jog or just whatever it is I feel like I need. And then the new quirky thing I've added is before I get in the shower, I dry brush. I just like it, like the stimulation. But when I stray, the point is when I stray from my morning routine, if I wake up and I go straight to my email or something else or whatever, I just feel like I'm in a rush the rest of the day. And so having whatever morning routine works for you is a great way to start the day. It sets the tone for the rest of the day. All right. And then sunshine. Okay, Sunshine is really important. Our bodies, we don't get vitamin D from foods, really, I don't think at all. We get it from the sunshine. And vitamin D is something that can increase your energy, which we all want, and increase your mood. So you don't even have to spend an hour outside. You can spend like 20 minutes, let the sunshine hit your skin. It's going to produce all the vitamin D it can at that moment for the rest of the day, and that's fine. So a lot of people are deficient, and during the winter time, I know a lot of doctors prescribe vitamin D for patients, and they do therapeutic doses, but there's a reason for that. It helps increase your mood and your energy. All right, let's get to the cool stuff. Foods to avoid. Because, like I said earlier, it's not just our outside environment that can cause stress. It's also our inside environment, what we're putting from the environment into our body. So you want to avoid refined foods, processed foods, sugars, which you guys already all are on that. And gluten can actually be kind of toxic for some people. I know you guys have probably heard of celiac disease, which just definitely cannot, but a lot of people are sensitive to gluten and they don't even know it. Unless you specifically go and ask for a specific test with your doctor, you're not gonna know. So a lot of people will, if they're having issues, they'll take it out of their diet, see how they feel, put it back in, see how you feel. And that goes with a lot of foods. Dairy, gluten, eggs. Some people are allergic to citrus. So when you're trying to figure out what's bothering you, just take it out of your diet for about 7 days and then put it back in and then see how you feel. And then foods to eat. Fermented foods, I put as my number one. Like sauerkraut or tempeh is a type of soy that's fermented. If you're cutting out meat, you can use tempeh instead. But fermented foods have probiotics that help your gut. Oh, no, my yogurt. It's in here. But the yogurt also has good probiotics that help your gut. It's a good bacteria. And you know, there's like a gut-brain connection that I'm not sure you guys know about. Do you guys know about the gut-brain connection? Like 80% of our immune system is in our gut, and whatever's going on here can affect our emotions and what's going on physically. So there's that. And then foods, another foods to include are foods that stabilize your blood sugar. So protein, healthy fats, and fiber. If you can get those three and every meal, your blood sugar will be smooth sailing. So examples of healthy fats, can be fish, walnuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, even eggs. I don't know if you include eggs, but then real butter, like ghee if you want, and coconut oil. And fiber it's just whole foods, right? Like if I wanted to add more fiber to that smoothie, I could have added some leafy greens to it or something else, right? Just to add more fiber. And good sources of protein could be sprouts, like alfalfa sprouts or other sprouts from seeds or other beans. You can get nuts and seeds, all have protein in them. Sea vegetables are actually one of the most digestible. Sea vegetables, like seaweed.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
You like sea vegetables. Yeah, no. But they're actually highly digestible for our bodies, so that's really good. And some grains and leafy greens, legumes, and soy like tempeh and tofu, you kind of want to avoid a lot of the processed soys, like drinking a bunch of soy milk or things like that, because the more a food is from like its whole state to banana pudding, the more processed it is, the more there's other stuff in it and stuff our body doesn't recognize, which can stress our body out when it's trying to digest it, right? All right, and my last little tidbit is foods with vitamin C. You really want to include those because that supports your adrenal health. And like we talked about in the beginning, our adrenal health is an important hormone. Our body does not make vitamin C. Oranges are good, but they're pretty sugary because they're a tropical fruit, and there are a lot of other fruits and vegetables that have more vitamin C than oranges. That's I don't want to necessarily call it health washing because oranges are good for you, but it is a big marketing, right? Orange juice, a lot of people make a lot of money selling orange juice. But other sources are limes. Like, do you guys ever hear limeys, like the pirates? Well, they call them limeys because they started getting scurvy, they started having issues with their gums and all that kind of stuff, and sores that wouldn't heal. And they figured out that vitamin C was lacking from their diet. So they would go on these ships and they'd take a bunch of limes, and I'm sure lemons too, so they call them limeys. Because vitamin C is just really important for a lot of things in your body. Grapefruit, if you're tolerant to grapefruit, is a good, or papaya. And like I said, be careful though of some of these tropical fruits. Red bell peppers is pretty high on the list of vitamin C, and even broccoli. And then that was my last tip, but my very first tip was to drink a lot of water. So all of these vitamin C rich foods, or even if you're taking vitamin C, is a water-soluble vitamin. So if you don't drink a lot of water with it, I'm not saying that you have to drink a whole gallon or whatever, but your body won't absorb it as much, and you'll just end up getting rid of it within I think when you take vitamin C, whatever your body doesn't use within the first 4 hours, it'll just get rid of. So there you are. And as far as I know, the worst thing to overdose with vitamin C is diarrhea, I believe. I don't think it's really that too harmful for you. So feel free to add a little extra during the cold and flu season too, because the weather is changing and we still have high demands, and it's not like we can sit around and hibernate like we'd like to in the cold weather. So just make sure you take care of yourselves. But yeah, any questions? So, this is a great question about the orange.
What kind of seed was that you used?
Do what? Hemp seed, H-E-M-P, yeah, hemp seed. And I was just sent this article last night, so I think I'm gonna send Tracy the link for y'all, but the last little tidbit I have is we just talked a lot about how to avoid and decrease stress, right? But sometimes it's our thoughts and how we think and approach things that can be just as either beneficial or harmful, right? I mean, if you think about athletes, I've been running since I was in 7th grade, and every coach I had was like, you need to visualize running the race and finishing the race and all that. So just like Tracy pointed out, you want to picture yourself at the end of this program, and then what are your steps to get there? So with stress, it's a lot about how you approach it too. And I'll send that article to Tracy, but basically it's just people who live in countries that have a lot of stress also tend to be the happiest, because things that cause them a lot of stress, like maybe work or family or other responsibilities, also cause them happiness, job satisfaction. They love their families, hopefully, So just something to think about when something starts to stress you out or you feel like too overwhelmed. Take a few breaths that we just practiced and look at it from another perspective. So that's all I've got for you guys. So thank you for letting me come here. Thanks. I'm like,
Very good. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing your expertise and your knowledge. And knowledge is power, but knowledge without action is futile. So I really want to encourage you to apply some of the principles that she went over tonight. And we also will make sure that you get one of her business cards. I'm going to be posting a link to her blog. So if you loved the smoothie, she has other smoothies on there. Make sure that they're in compliance right now. If we're on the advanced plan. If you've already reached your weight loss goals, which are some of you in here who have already done that, you're going to be moving into the core plan. And some of you laugh, but it's okay. So like bananas are on the core plan. Okay, so it was a little tasty treat for you tonight, but we want to really minimize the amount of sugar. That was my fault. No, not whoops. It's okay. So make sure you're tracking those things and paying attention to what you're putting in your body. Does anybody have any questions? Even if it's not in specifics to stress for Andi? Our goal is to bring wellness professionals like her to you throughout this challenge. So it's not you just hearing it from, the doctors here. So coming up, we have next week. We're just going to reconvene and get you back on track. We've had, some meetings, and then the following week we have Dr. Henry Roca, a natural MD, who's going to be presenting. The week after that, Erin Taylor from Go Running is going to be presenting a Running 101 clinic, and that's really walking or running. Okay, so if you hear running and your brain goes, not me, doesn't mean you don't get to show up that night, okay? Because it's just how to move your body properly and probably body mechanics. So even if you're a walker, which I do a lot of walking with my kids, I love that. I've done a fair share of running in my day, but I love to walk. So that's going to be great for you too. So we have lots of amazing things coming up for you. So be watching the calendar. Does everybody have access to the Google Calendar now? No? I should have invited you all to it. I think I got the glitch figured out, but if you still do not have access, please come and see us, and we'll figure that out for you. But keep paying attention to the Facebook page, okay? We're posting recipes all the time on there. We'll be posting the article that Andi talked about. Her actual recipe we'll post on there, also a link to her blog, and any really other important information. We'll be doing that via email as well, but since everybody's on Facebook, that's a really easy way to get information to you, okay? Well, until next week, go get them. Keep at it. Keep focused. We'll be hanging around if anybody has any specific questions on nutrition or the meal plans. We're getting a meal plan together as well for you to be following. So enjoy your evening.